everyone, hey all, welcome back to the channel, and it's Monday, and to help you with your case of the Mondays, it's countdown time once again, and today, as voted on by all of you guys all across social media, we're going to count down the top 10 most sarcastic smart mouth transformers. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor. All the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, all those links are in the description below. Check me out all across social media, man. All those links also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is the top 10 most sarcastic or smart mouth Transformers characters. I put these two together because sometimes sarcasm means having a smart mouth and sometimes it doesn't, and I said, you know what, just to kind of open the field as much as possible, we're going to include both here. Sometimes it's just snide, snarky comments. Sometimes it's more falling on the side of sarcasm itself. Which, of course, you know, we all know, but a lot of people tend to kind of have the two of them sort of overlap, and that's what we're going to do. But before we get into who actually made the list as per your votes, let's look at the honorable mentions first. All of the honorable mentions, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this time, and all 5 of them have the exact same number of votes. So, who was on the honorable mentions? Swerve, specifically the IDW Swerve, was on the honorable mentions. Even I know enough about that comic continuity to know that Swerve has a bit of a smart mouth. Gears made it on there, though I would say Gears is more grumpy than sarcastic, but he did make it on there with enough votes. Cheetor made it on there. I could see Cheetor making it. His youth sometimes led him to be a bit of a smart mouth. Powerglide was on there. Again, with Powerglide, I feel like it's more bravado and a boisterous character than it is sarcasm, but he got enough votes that he made the honorable mentions. And Transformers Prime Wheeljack, who most definitely was sarcastic, especially with Ultra Magnus. But none of those guys made the list, so who did? Well, we're gonna find out by kicking things off first with number 10. Number 10 will gleefully point out that you waste more energon with your mouth moving, and that geek work is meant for geeks, like you. And that on Earth it's so strange because the fleshlings design their machines better than they design themselves. What a backwards world. I'm talking about G1 Thundercracker. Thundercracker is one of those characters that often goes under the radar. He's always there. He's a main cast character, but he's always more like a supporting character. It just so happens that he always has a little bit of a commentary for Starscream or Megatron or Skywarp or Reflector, whoever else comes up. And his kind of claim to fame to make it on this list is the fact that he always kind of comes back with a snide comment, a one-liner, and a remark when it really wasn't asked for or warranted. Often kind of meant as like a belittling joke, if you will. And for all those reasons and all those quotes, Thundercracker takes the number 10 slot. Number 9 was probably a foregone conclusion to be on this list. It would be animated Bumblebee. Bumblebee, it's not animated. But that character in particular is known as being very sarcastic. For example, think of the time when Bulkhead showed up late and asked, "Did I miss anything?" To which Bumblebee replied, "No, I think you hit every car on the way in." Or when he met Blur and said, "Start talking, Zippy." And Blur said the name's not Zippy and went on with a rather long and speedy tirade. At the end, Bumblebee said, "Could you repeat that last part?" "Which part?" said Blur. "Everything after the name's not Zippy." He was always full of one-liners, and for that reason, Bumblebee from Animated has to take the number 9 slot. Number 8 is a character that I've kind of come to know and love, even though I don't particularly like the comics continuity. After all, how can you not like a guy who's secret password is that he's a million billion times tougher than Cyclonus, and who has a classic exchange back and forth with Nautilus, where he puts Nautilus in the role of Megatron and himself in the role of Prime. You who are without mercy, now beg for it. And they go through a whole scene like that. It's actually pretty comedic. I'll give credit where credit is due. Of course, those who know that I'm talking about Whirl. Look, Whirl is probably the Transformers answer to, like, Marvel's Deadpool. Like, he always has a smart mouth. He's always sarcastic. He's loud. He's boisterous. He's brave. But the question I've always had, both for him and for Deadpool, is it that you're full of sarcasm, or do you actually believe your own hype? Either way you cut it, the smart mouth on this guy never ends, and for that reason he takes the number 8 slot. Number 7 is always loud, always boisterous, and always wants to be in the middle of the action. In fact, a couple of his classic interactions come from Fire on the Mountain with Windcharger, when Windcharger says, "Let's peel out of here," to which he replies, "And miss all the fun?" And later on, when he berates Perceptor, only to finally realize that Perceptor's his best friend. I'm talking about Brawn. Brawn is loud, he's boisterous, he's opinionated. He doesn't always say the right thing at the right time, and he often changes his mind as he sees fit, as it suits him. Because he is kind of as loud and boisterous as he is, I think he probably falls more on the side of having a smart mouth than he does with sarcasm. But enough people thought that he fit on this list that he solidified himself at the number 7 slot. Number 6 is definitely a smart mouth who's a little too brave for his britches sometimes. In fact, in one classic interaction with Starscream, he thought he was going to get some electro cells, only to be blasted, tricking Starscream into thinking Optimus Prime was behind him, and then blasting Starscream and saying, "The oldest tricks only work on the biggest jerks." I'm talking, of course, about Cliff Jumper. G1 Cliff Jumper. Yeah, I get it. Cliff Jumper always had a lot of one-liners. He always talked the big talk, but he tried his best all the time to also back it up. He was every bit as tough as he claimed to be. As for the sarcasm side, there were definitely times that he gave some backhanded compliments. And for all of those reasons, and because people gave him enough votes, he solidified himself at the number 6 slot. And here at the halfway mark, I thought that this guy was going to take number 1. He has one of the most classic lines in all of Transformers when he says, "I've got better things to do than die tonight," talking about this guy, it's Springer. Springer, the king of the one-liners, the king of sarcasm, the king of quips and quirps. We could go on with quotes for this guy for days. Undoubtedly one of the smartest mouths in Transformers. Undoubtedly one of the smartest mouths probably in all of geekdom science fiction. Anyway you cut it, I thought this guy was going to come number 1, but enough people thought that he was sarcastic and smart mouth enough that he came in at the number 5 slot. Whether this next entrant was complimenting Megatron, or most often, Soundwave and, of course, Starscream, it was always backhanded. It was never sincere, because the only guy this guy really likes is himself. I'm talking, of course, about Knockout. Transformers Prime Knockout. Now, this is the Beast Hunters version, but Knockout always thought himself to be the top notch and the best, everybody else a little bit beneath him, and a lot of times he would either berate someone openly or he would give them backhanded compliments that obviously were veiled as, thick sarcasm. I don't think anybody would ever be able to argue that this guy deserves the spot on the countdown he has. As a matter of fact, I thought he was probably going to be in the top 3, but he did make it to the number 4 slot. And now we're into the top 3, and coming in at number 3 is a character who, while I would definitely venture to say has some sarcastic, smart mouth quotes from G1, he is definitely best known for his sarcasm in the IDW universe. I'm talking about Hot Rod. For me, things such as, that planet, it wasn't as nice as Cybertron anyway. Or when he says, I think after the attack on Autobot City in the movie, when Kup is telling stories to the Dinobots, and I believe it's Hot Rod who says, like, shouldn't we be doing something a little more productive? Like, I don't know, you know, practicing our battle skills. That's not the quote, but you know the idea. I'm not good with quotes. I feel like Hot Rod was always one who was irresponsible, boisterous, always had a one-liner and a quip, whether it was Hot Rod or Rodimus, though he has them more as Hot Rod. If we go to the IDW comics, he is extremely sarcastic and comedic all the time. Same with Cyberverse. He does a lot of kind of comedic, sarcastic one-liners there. After being caught by the Decepticons, and they think that he's all trapped, he's like, well, I gotta be going now, bye, it's been a blast. Obviously, it wasn't fun, but like he took it all so lightheartedly, and some of that lightheartedness is probably veiling his own fear and insecurity, but some of it is just him being sarcastic and a smart mouth, and for that reason he takes the number 3 slot. Number 2 is probably going to make total sense. It's Starscream. Every time, and this is what people said every single time Starscream gave a compliment to Megatron, sarcasm. How often did he call Megatron a glorious leader? How often did he say, you're so smart and strong, Megatron? When in reality, we all know that he was plotting, planning to usurp Megatron out of power any chance, the first chance he got. You know, even after Megatron was down and out, and they had to, you know, jettison the weight off of Astrotrain in the movie, Starscream said, oh, how it pains me to do this. We all know it didn't. The guy's the king of sarcasm. Probably second only to Springer. But anyway, you cut it. Enough people thought that this guy's a sarcastic, loudmouth braggart who's also a smart mouth, that he took the number 2 slot. If Starscream's number 2, then who in the heck took number 1? And number 1 won by a landslide. And I get it. I understand why, because this guy's been sarcastic with one-liners since the very beginning of his existence, since I believe the very first episode. Right away, this character said, we're an exploration ship, not a battle cruiser. And it went on as part of his character on through the entire series. He was sarcastic with the likes of Rhinox, Optimus Primal, Cheetor, Big Bad Megatron himself. Even later on with the Fusors, when he is kind of, you know, very inappropriately sarcastic when addressing Silverbolt about, you know, exploring new positions with Black Arachnia. I'm talking naturally about Rat Trap, the loudest mouthed little rodent that there ever was. You know what? I don't know if I would have necessarily remembered that Rat Trap was as sarcastic as he was if it wasn't for this countdown. The guy was never ending. And for that reason, everybody thought the same thing. And he easily took the number 1 slot. And there we go, 10-1. And I mean, like, come on, Rat Trap. I mean, it was a clear win. You know, he blames Dinobot for not being able to kick back on Cybertron and calls him an overgrown iguana. Or in the Trigger Part 2 when he asks if there's beverage cart service aboard this flight. The quotes for Rat Trap are endless, and honestly, I see it now. There were other characters who got votes as well. Who else didn't appear? Octane got a vote, Huffer got a couple of votes, Drift, Ratchet, I totally get, especially like animated or Transformers Prime Ratchet. Hotshot got a couple of votes. Beast Wars Scorponok got a couple of votes. Blue Streak. Who else is on here that got some votes? Kup got some votes. Sideswipe got a couple of votes. RID Sideswipe made a good push. I thought he was going to make at least the honorable mentions, but he didn't. Let me know. Let me know who you think should have been on the list. Who are your favorites, or do you think the list panned out exactly as it should? I appreciate you guys coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Stick around, have some fun with us. Don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every single day, man, you do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way, baby, right here inside the videos.